You have a magnificent tweet, and I know Twitter is often a sewer, but there are little diamonds in there that outlines the truth behind a lot of these hoaxes. And you say that I'm surprised when people are surprised that Jussie Smollett would fabricate a hate crime. People who claim to be victims of the right or whites are rewarded by American society, often financially. Some will lie. The fact that people are compensating this culture of oppression, how long has this been the status quo?
Well, Americans are a good people. So when they hear that a person has been victimized to hate, there's an outpouring of support. And unfortunately, there are those, usually on the left, who will take advantage of that kindness from Americans to claim to be a victim. And before I did reporting on Antifa, I used to write about hate crime hoaxes a lot. And there's usually not a lot of national coverage on it because it's inconvenient to the talking points of the left. But as you can see, like Smollett, or on a smaller context at a university setting, as soon as you come out and provide no evidence and make some outlandish claim, you get media attention, support from the administration, support from others. You can set up a GoFundMe, people donate money. There's so much to gain by being a victim that people go as far as to fabricate hate hoaxes.
But I mean, I'm glad you said before that Americans are fundamentally decent people, because I think they are, and I would have a lot of good reason to say that. But does this show the fact that this crime, this hoax crime, happened and so many other hoax crimes have occurred, Andy? Does this actually prove that America is not the racist society that some people on the left would have people believe, if people have to go out there and make up fake hate crimes because there's not enough real hate crimes for them to capitalize on?
Yes, if we believe the talking point from the establishment left that hate is so, it's banality in America and it's so common, if we were to hear some of these allegations, we would shrug our shoulders and think that's life, that's how life is like every day in America. But the fact is, it's not. And it strikes at the core of, for the average American, when you hear something so hateful happening. Because hate crimes are actually so rare, and we have the data, you can look at how often they happen by the population size. And unfortunately, whenever there is an incident that happens or alleged to happen, there's a lot of attention. Whenever it's then reported later on that it's unsubstantiated or even faked, there's usually not that media coverage.
I have a clip here from over a year ago where you talked to Dr. Phil about this exact problem. Let's have a look at that.
Why does somebody lie about a crime like this? Well, they tend to lie because they feel victimized overall. They feel like, I am generally victimized by the system, so this event that I'm reporting, while not specifically true, is emblematic of how I am generally treated by the system, so it is not a lie.
And actually, a lot of hoaxers don't even think that what they're doing is wrong. Right. A lot of what Sally was saying here was really about the larger narrative, the larger story about bringing attention to hate in America and the climate of hate. So as long as we still find a silver lining or justification for hoaxes, we're going to continue to incentivize it.
The problem is somebody on the other end of that hoax is held accountable and pays a price for something they didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, why is it these people who blatantly lie seem to feel as if it's the appropriate course of action?
Well, they can gain monetarily, financially. I mean, the prosecutors said that Smollett carried out his hoax because he essentially, for PR purposes, he wanted to make a bigger name for himself. So it's a bargain for higher pay for his work on the Empire television show. But there are many people who excuse these acts or think that ultimately, while the hoaxes are bad, that they help bring attention to the climate of political hate in America, how racism is an epidemic in America, and therefore there's possibly a silver lining. We see that over and over, particularly It's actually quite unusual that the convictions will happen most of the time when these happen at a local level or on university campuses. Administrations will put out some statements saying they investigated. Unfortunately, it's untrue. And they just want to move on. And despite this particular instance being not real, there's still so much hate in this country and on our campus, and then they just move on. It's actually really rare that anybody's held accountable for what they do. And which, by the way, one of what people should pay attention to is when somebody claims to be a victim of a hate crime is, does that alleged victim go to the press and the media or social media first, or do they go to law enforcement to report the crimes?
Great points, Andy. As always, thank you so much for your time, and you can check out Andy's work at thepostmillennial.com. Andy, thanks as always, and see you soon.
My pleasure.